Morning everyone, it's Danny here from the Young Family Homestead. I'm going to take you guys along this morning on chores. You going to stay here, Bon? It's like she knows if she's on camera. What's going on, mate? Are you hungry?
What now, Gussie?
Hey, Dolly.
Hi, Dolly.
Right, feeding through there if you like, yeah. Is it hard, Joseph?
Yeah, very tiring.
Very arm tiring. Well, you're holding 3 litres up really, so work on the gun show, mate. So I wanted to do another vlog on bottle feeding Jersey cows and just what we are experiencing, I guess, is when it comes to feeding the Jerseys. We said in one of our other vlogs was don't stand behind the bottle, right? So when you're holding the bottle here like Joseph is, he's not holding it with that part there close to his face. He's holding it away from his body, so when Gus pushes the bottle or bucks the bottle, it's not gonna do anything. Another thing we do to prevent I guess unruly calves from moving around and stomping on the kids' toes and hey Summer. Another thing we do is that we change the areas that we're feeding the calves. So instead of feeding the calves out there on the grass or somewhere where the cows can, I guess, stand on their feet, it's a lot easier to feed them through a gate or through a fence like this. Depending on the weight and the size of the calf will depend on how much actual formula you're putting into their milk bottle. Most, I guess, powdered milks or whatever you want to call it, most of those will have instructions on there. If you're new to calves and new to cattle, one thing that we learnt was that if you ask the people that even you're getting the cattle off or become a part of a cattle Facebook group, ask the questions. You can never ask too many questions. And the more knowledge you have, the less dramas you're going to have with when it comes to feeding your cattle or your cows. Baby calves in this case, make sure that you feed them correctly as per their weight and as per their age, and depending on when you plan on weaning them, because some cows can be bottle fed up to, or some cows are kept on their mothers up until 8 months, right? But I don't want to be feeding these guys till 8 months time because they're going to be huge. So good stuff. Another point I had was to look for brands of milk powder with probiotics in them. I think that was Megan's point. So Megan, what are you talking about?
Particularly Jerseys are quite, they're a little bit more fragile than a beef cow. So if you find a milk with probiotics, it helps to settle their stomach, especially if you're introducing fresh grass or like a premium hay. It just helps to settle their tummy.
Even though these little baby calves are drinking milk and they're getting a lot of water with the milk, right? So that baby calves don't usually drink a whole lot of water. They more so drink the milk, and that's where they're getting their water from. In saying that, you still need to make sure that you've got a good clean water source for the cows. What are you doing, Gus? Are you stuck? Cows, they're not the sharpest tools in the shed. Another point I had here was to make sure when you're mixing the bottles, you're mixing them really, really well, right? So if you don't mix the powder well and they get like a blob, I guess, of the milk powder, kind of like when you have a protein shake or something and you don't, your little rattly ball you have inside the protein shake maker, if you shake that stuff and doesn't mix it really well, and you're left with those little clumps in there, that when you're drinking it as a human, that's no big deal. Just it's a bit gross and whatever. But if cows do it, that can increase the chance of them getting scours as well. Gus, our Jersey bull here, just recovered from scours, and we called the vet out, and he gave us this no, yeah, they did give us needles to give him, but that's because he was a bit crook too. So he had scours and he had another rotavirus. So we had to give him a needle for the rotavirus, and we had to give him
You had rotavirus?
yeah, no, not coronavirus.
I said coronavirus.
Hey?
I said coronavirus.
Yeah, it's rotavirus. Yeah, so he didn't have coronavirus. He had rotavirus. Different teat types. Oh yeah, this is a good
Do you
one.
want me to race in?
Do you know where they are?
Yeah.
Well, hold on. Do you want to send Joseph?
He can't reach.
Oh, okay. All right.
Go.
All right. These teats here on these bottles are. I can't. It doesn't even have the sticker on it anymore. I can't tell you what they are, but I might try and leave a link to these bottles in the show notes below, because these bottles here have served us really, really well. The teats on these bottles are much more like a teat, I guess, and they've got like a hard underbody, I guess, and it's sort of soft on top. The cows love these ones, and they drink from these really, well, a lot easier than these other ones that we have. That supposedly, I was talking to a lady the other day, and she said these other ones here are built to be more durable, but they might be more durable, but it takes the cows 2 or 3 times as long to drink out of those other ones as it does these ones. The other bottles are pretty much the same. The only difference is the teat. So this is the teat.
Screw top lid.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry. Right. Yeah. So these got a screw top lid, and they've got. They're way more.
It's just a slit.
Yeah.
It's not like
Yeah.
a star shape.
Yeah. So these are the other ones. So they've got a little like a little check valve in there that sort of lets milk come down into it, and then it sort of blocks it off, and they're supposed to suck it out. But I think sometimes the check in there gets stuck. So I don't rate these, but I mean, you can make your own, I guess, decision what you want to use, but I reckon those ones are better like tenfold. So how much is a bottle? Like, they're not cheap either, right? They're like 15-20 bucks a bottle or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's not a lot, but still, it all adds up. Another thing about the actual bottle feeding itself is to make sure that you wash these out.
It helps to have a bottle brush,
Yep.
because a lot of the formula when you're washing them gets trapped in the handles, and that's how you get mold.
Yep.
So I try to wash it out with the bottle brush as much as I can.
Yep.
But it has to be steaming hot water and a little bit of soap.
And we soak them in there too, right?
Yeah, I let them soak a bit to loosen up any formula that's sitting on the outside. I'll rotate them.
Yeah.
So it's getting the whole bottle, and then I tip half the water out, give it a really, really good shake to loosen it all up.
Yeah.
And then I'll let them air dry, so you
Yeah.
can make sure they're upside down and they're in like an air rack.
Yeah. I didn't say too much before, but I wanted to talk more about the way to mix the formula. So, so when you're mixing the formula, how you do it, like with the whisk and stuff. I want people to know that.
Yeah.
So let them know.
When you're mixing the formula, the first thing you need to know is the heat of the water needs to be at anywhere between 38 to 40 degrees. 40 degrees being the ideal temperature, but anywhere in that margin is fine. The next thing to know is your powder has to be weighed out. If you don't weigh it out, it's not going to be as per instructions. If you give them too much formula, you can make them sick. If you give them too little formula, you can make them sick. Especially with dairy cows, they are a little bit more finicky.
Yeah, it's true. So they are, Jersey cows are way more.
A Jersey mama has way more cream and all that sort of stuff. So you got to be really careful with that. To mix it together, I use a whisk. It's the best way to make sure that there's no clumps, it's all mixed in, because when they're drinking it out of the bottle, especially from these teats, because they do have the bigger teat spout, if they drink a concentrate of that formula, it can make them sick.
Yep.
So I whisk it up. I'll do half the water with my powder, whisk it in, and then I put the rest of my water. I also, in their morning bottles, do 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, just to help with gut flora and bacteria.
And you can give them an egg too, right?
You can give them the egg. Eggs do kind of the same thing. It's extra protein. It's not so much for gut flora, a little bit of gut flora, but mostly for protein.
Yeah, right. And what was the thing? Oh, so the other thing was, so if you get 1 cup, which is 250 mils, so if you get 1 cup that's 250 mils, and get a scoop of the powder, it's not 250 grams, right? So that's why you got to put it on a scale and make sure your scales can go up to that level when you're mixing it in a bowl and stuff. So we need to actually go out and get another scale that can, it's like I guess a higher grade where you can weigh more stuff on it.
Yeah, so we're just doing it on a little kitchen.
Yeah, on a tiny little one, yeah. So,
which it works, but you can't lose battery while you're mixing it, because then the bowl's too heavy for the scale.
Yeah, you can't restart it if you're already half full of water and stuff.
Yeah.
The last point that I just wanted to touch on was when to wean cows, or when to wean calves. So I did touch on it briefly, but I just wanted to elaborate a little bit more. Some cows, if left in a paddock, they'll be on their mums until like 8 months. But as I said before, I've got no interest in bottle feeding these guys until they're 8 months, because they're going to be way too big and going to be drinking a whole ton of milk. Yeah. So no way. In these sort of scenarios, I believe, is it like 12 weeks or?
Yep. So
8 weeks even. You
can wean early at 6 weeks with a good program. I would say it's more for your meat cattle.
Yep.
For dairy calves, I'd be weaning. I mean, you can do it at 8 weeks, but for me personally, because our calves are still so little, yep. We've waited until 10 weeks, for Dolly, and Gus will be weaned when he gets a little bit more weight on him. So everybody, every farm, even if you ask farmers, they're different. So
we are
some
farmers.
people,
no,
I mean like industrial farmers.
Yeah.
So some farmers will wean at a certain age, others will wait until they're a certain weight. Personally, I think I would go off weight, because if they're not getting enough nutrients from grass and hay, they're going to certainly be getting it from the milk, because there's trace minerals in the milk. You've got your probiotics. Some of them contain rumicin as well. So it's just important to make sure that your calf is healthy before it's weaned. So you certainly wouldn't wean a sick calf. And because Gus has been sick, we've held off weaning him.
Yep.
He is getting weight now, so I think I'll be happy when he is 10 weeks to wean him, but yeah, until then.
We'll just keep on keeping on. If you guys liked any of the content in today's video, make sure you hit the like button. If you've got any questions or comments, leave them in the section below. And if you'd like to see more of this sort of content, be sure to hit the subscribe button. And until the next one, I'm Danny, this is Megan, this is the Young Family Homestead, and we'll see you then. Bye.
Bye.